This video, I want to talk about the Crypts of Winterfell, what they are, and their history. The Crypts of Winterfell are located in Winterfell, obviously. They exist beneath the castle and are home to the deceased Starks. The entrance to the crypts is located in the oldest section of the castle, near the foot of the first keep, a keep that hasn't been used in hundreds of years. The door to the crypt is ironwood, old and heavy, and at a slant to the ground. During winter, the door can become frozen shut. Upon opening the door, there are stone steps that lead down to the crypts. These steps are narrow, forcing people to go down single file, steep, and worn in the center from centuries of feet marching up and down them. When going down the stairs, a lantern or torch is needed to see in the pitch black, and the light can make it appear as if the steps move beneath your feet. As well as you descend down the stairs, a cold breath of air can be felt, chilling, seeming to come deep from within the earth. The further down you go, the worse the subterranean chill becomes, though the cold in the actual crypts stays constant whether it's summer or winter. So in winter, it could actually be warmer in the crypts than up above outside. The stairs go to all the levels of the crypts, all so dark that even with a lantern, it only serves as a small light in the great darkness of the vaults. The lower levels are older, deeper, and darker, and house the older Stark kings. However, the lowest level of the crypt is reported to be at least partly collapsed. The highest level, or the first room when descending the stairs, is a long vaulted tunnel, longer in fact than even Winterfell, with vaulted ceilings and a stone floor that footsteps echo off of. Talking or laughing also creates great echoes in the vault, as would be expected. In this particular vault, granite pillars march 2 by 2 into the blackness of the crypt. Between the pillars are tombs containing dead Starks. Past these tombs, several empty holes are waiting for Ned Stark, his children, and then their children and children's children. Only lords and kings are supposed to have statues of themselves in front of their tombs. However, this rule has been broken twice. First with Ardos Stark, Ardos the Implacable, being given a statue despite not being a Lord of Winterfell, and then Ned Stark, who broke this rule when he made statues for his siblings, Brandon and Lyanna. Besides those two little rule breakers, the once lords and kings of Winterfell all have stone statues that resemble themselves that sit on a stone throne with a fierce stone direwolf at their feet. Some lords of Winterfell have bearded faces as fierce as these wolves at their feet, while others are clean-shaven with gaunt, sharp features. The dead king statues have stone crowns on their brows. People have reported that the shifting shadows created by lantern light make the statues appear as if they are living and moving. The backs of all the statues rest against the sepulchre that contains the dead person. The once lords of Winterfell all have an iron longsword, in varying degrees of rust, resting across their lap, their stone fingers curled around the hilts. Some believe the iron swords keep the spirits of the dead locked within their tombs. This belief causes a bit of discomfort due to the older swords being completely rusted away with the march of time. Ned Stark fears with some of the older swords rusted to nothing but a few red stains where the metal had been, means the ghosts are free to roam the castle. Others believe that the swords across their lap, a traditional sign one is denying guess right, is indicating non-Starks aren't welcome here. The stone eyes of the kings appear to stare down at those that walk the tunnel, helping add to that belief. Though it is a place of dead people, it doesn't appear to be off limits despite the ominous-looking statues, especially to children. As we know, the children of Ned Stark played in this location while growing up. Arya remembers being a little girl when she first went into the crypts. Her brother Robb had taken her, Sansa, and baby Bran down for a visit. Of course, this was a trick by Robb to scare his siblings. Once inside the crypts, Jon popped out, covered in flour and moaning for blood. Arya also remembers playing in the crypts other times when she was little, even playing games like Come Into My Castle and Monsters and Maidens amongst the Stone Kings on their thrones. Bran remembers playing in the crypts when he was little with his siblings as well. Rickon later went and stayed in the crypts when Robb announced he was riding off to war. So apparently children are allowed to play down there and have little fear of the crypts. Instead of being afraid, the children considered it a part of their home and who they were, accepting one day they would lie in the crypts. Even though Old Nan did tell the children the crypts contained spiders and rats the size of dogs to scare them. I love Old Nan. The comfort Starks may feel in the crypts, though some have reported an unease in the area, is not shared by others. Non-Starks that visit the crypts usually feel extremely uneasy. Osha, a stubborn and considerably brave wildling, is definitely uncomfortable in the crypts. Hodor is so afraid of the crypts that he refuses one of Bran's requests to go down there, but he does eventually get over his fears. Theon is incredibly uncomfortable in the crypts and feels the Lords of Winterfell are judging him. Even Lady Barbray, who was insistent on visiting the crypts, had a feeling of unease in them. But of course this could all be chalked up to being in an area with tons of dead bodies. Would probably make me nervous too. Despite existing for so long, the crypts don't have a lot of history besides the dead Starks they contain, which would be expected out of an area housing the dead. There are a few interesting stories, however. A free folk tale states Bael the Bard, a wildling, came to Winterfell after the Lord of Winterfell accused him of being a coward. He then stole Lord Stark's daughter and secretly kept her in the Winterfell crypts. After impregnating her and she gave birth to a boy, he brought her out of the crypt and gave her back to Lord Stark. There's also the testimony of Mushroom. This account was written by a court jester named Mushroom about the years he stayed in court during the reign of Viserys I, ruling from 103 AC to 129 AC, to Aegon III, ruling from 131 AC to 157 AC. In his testimony, he claims that when Prince Jace Velaryon came to visit Winterfell at the start of the Dance of the Dragons to convince the North to join his mother Rhaenyra, his dragon, Virmax, laid a clutch of eggs in the crypts where hot springs are near the walls. This claim has sparked so many theories about dragons hatching at Winterfell, but it is hard to know what is true or a fabrication of Mushroom. At times, maesters agree on his account, while other times they disagree. And maesters tend to disagree on the dragon egg claim. In modern Westeros time in the books, the tombs are visited or utilized several times. The first time we experience the crypts is in the first book, A Game of Thrones, when Robert Baratheon comes to Winterfell and wishes to be taken to them to pay his respects to his beloved, Lyanna Stark. During this visit, Ned feels the eyes of the Lords of Winterfell on him. He feels they are listening to him and Robert. As mentioned earlier, Rickon later goes into the crypts to stay with his direwolf when Robb announces he's leaving Winterfell to go to war. He even snatches a sword from a dead king's hands and slashes at people that try to get him out. Later, when Ned is imprisoned in King's Landing, Bran has dreams making him want to visit the crypts. He does so after telling Maester Luwin of his vision of Ned in the crypts, but upon visiting, they see nothing there. However, they later learn that Ned has died. Following Ned's death, a stone mason chisels out the likeness of Ned for his tomb in the crypt. Later, Bran becomes angered in this book when Rickon shows the crypts to Big Walder and Little Walder Frey. He yells at Rickon that he had no right, and that was their place. A Stark place. Later, 3 swords are taken from the crypts when Bran and Rickon hide from Theon Greyjoy and his Iron Men who have taken over Winterfell. Bran takes his Uncle Brandon's sword, Meera takes Bran's grandfather's, Lord Rickard Stark's sword, and Hodor takes a much older, huge piece of iron that had been dulled from centuries of neglect. Osha takes the sword Mycon had made for Ned's tomb. Finally, in A Dance with Dragons, Lady Dustin is led by Theon to the entrance of the crypts, and they go to the top level. Besides these visits to the crypts, this location is brought up many times by the Starks. Jon Snow in multiple books talks or thinks about how he dreams of the crypts often. Usually he fears what he'll find in the crypts, or the Lords of the Crypt telling him he doesn't belong. Ned, while in King's Landing, dreams of the crypts and the Kings of Winter watching him, and their dire wolves snarling at him. His sister's statue, Lyanna, whispers to him, "Promise me, Ned," in these dreams. Bran also dreams of the crypts. In one dream, he sees his father by the tombs. Later, it is discovered Ned had died, meaning Bran had a vision. Arya Stark, when in the House of Black and White, smells the crypts of Winterfell from their special candles that give off smells that will relax the inhaler. But just not the Starks of Winterfell bring up or dream of the crypts. Jojen Reed had a green dream of Bran and Rickon in the crypts. Catelyn Stark sends a party to put Ned's bones in the crypts. Lady Dustin has an interest in them, and Holly, a spearwife, wanted to be taken there, but Theon refuses to help her. So this video, I talked about the Crypts of Winterfell, but there's much more to the crypts, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in the books about the importance of this location. Why does Jon keep dreaming of the crypts? Why does he fear what he'll find down there? Why does he keep being told he doesn't belong there and he isn't a Stark? His own insecurities or something more? Clearly, the crypts have more secrets to them that will be revealed in future books. Until we get to those books, God willing, in the next 10 years, George, please, I want to explore some theories on what the significance of the crypts are and what could be in them that haunts Jon's dreams. So thank you for watching. Please like the video and come back for more Game of Thrones A Song of Ice and Fire videos. If you're confused about any part of this video, please feel free to message me. I'd love to make a Q&A video. Thanks and have a great day.